Coming up next on Tech News Today, the new FCC chair is making big moves in his first days to kind of inch toward a reduction of net neutrality. Google is eliminating its Google Now launcher. Facebook analyzes the relationships of its users, and I'll give you 3 guesses why. Ads. Nintendo is playing around with free-to-play with its new mobile game Fire Emblem Heroes and alternatives to the Super Bowl that may or may not include owls. All that and more coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and once again, time for Twit's audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, really. That's all. Just go to twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. Your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. And thanks for your continued support.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1698, recorded Friday, February 3rd, 2017.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of SuperTank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit epson.com/EcoTank to find out more.
And by Grasshopper. Stay connected and run your business from your mobile phone with Grasshopper. To save $50 on your order, visit trygrasshopper.com/twit.
Welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we tell you everything you need to know about technology today. Or as Jason decided to call us, he said, Tech News, it's what we do's.
It is what we do's.
I don't know. How do you like that?
That's good. I'm happy that you remembered that because right before showtime, I was like, God, what was that thing that we said earlier? I couldn't remember it, so I had to just give up and figure it was lost.
Mm-hmm. Tech News.
Because it's so brilliant.
Yeah, Tech News, it's what we do.
It's what we do.
I'm Megan Maroney.
And I'm Jason Howell. Care to do's some tech news?
Yes, let's.
Excellent.
The Washington Post reports that federal regulators are telling 9 companies that they can no longer participate in Lifeline. That's the program that provides low-cost internet access to low-income Americans. This comes as a shock to companies who use the funds to partner with school districts to provide educational broadband so that poor kids can do their homework. Ajit Pai, Tom Wheeler's successor at the FCC, announced the new rule today and also confirmed separately that he will close the inquiry into zero rating plans from T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, and Comcast. So we're beginning to see Tom Wheeler's looking pretty good to us. Now, it's in the past, Lifeline participants could only use federal benefit toward landline and mobile voice service. But as we talked about last year, Tom Wheeler said, a lot of people don't need that. What they need is broadband, and we should be able to use. They should be able to use this for broadband as well. And now they're just scaling back. What they say is they don't want it to be, they don't want it to be wasted. They don't want federal funds to be wasted. But 5 million households with school-age children do not have broadband. I'm familiar with some of the companies that are working with the FCC to use these funds, and it's unfortunate. I mean, they're very surprised by this, and so hopefully it'll roll. If there's change does go through, hopefully it will move slowly, and people will find another way to have internet access.
I have a hard feeling that believing that they are surprised by this. They probably were surprised by this when they first realized who was stepping in Tom Wheeler's place, or maybe even as far back as I think December when Tom Wheeler said he was going to be stepping aside. That was kind of the writing on the wall, and this is just like the starting point, because this the new chairman Pai, his past kind of points to the fact that there's going to be a lot more pulling back from efforts like these. I think as far as the Lifeline program is concerned, anything that brings technology that's as critical as broadband to more homes, and particularly to low-income households, to students. I mean, the digital divide is a real thing, and I don't know. I'm all for everyone having access to that because that enables them to do so much more throughout the course of their life, having that access early on, which is whatever most other people have that access, so it already sets them behind. I think that's a big bummer.
Mm-hmm. It really is. I mean, and maybe lumping these two FCC stories together is a little bit confusing because the Lifeline story is very separate from what he said about ending the inquiry into zero rating. And that to me is getting a little bit more news, but it's not. It doesn't have that same direct effect on kids as this reduction of the Lifeline money. So I don't know.
Yeah, and the zero rating really, it seems to come down to how people interpret zero rating, right? Because when T-Mobile started with binge on, and we've seen little bits of this zero rating happening more and more over the course of the past year. When that started happening, I mean, it really seemed like, well, I mean, what's the loss here? As a consumer, I'm using the service, and if I'm watching Netflix, for example, I don't have to worry about Netflix, coming off, being taken out of my data allotment. That's a great thing for consumers. But, people who support this, support net neutrality, say that it actually harms competition, because what it does is it allows certain services to be pushed out of the agreements and certain services to thrive. And that's bad for newcomers who might not already be a part of this. Basically, he said in his statement, going forward, FCC will not focus on denying Americans free data. So things like zero rating, that's the start. This is kind of the start of the transition away from the net neutrality rules, and really just kind of making a statement here by just saying, by making a very big signal that we're not gonna pursue this anymore. So this is business as usual starting now. And like I said, it's the tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm. So we're not going to stop people from getting their free Netflix, but kids who need to do their homework,
Well, yeah, and what's interesting about that is that Chairman Pai said in relation to the zero rating rules that he lifted, he says free data plans like this are popular among low-income consumers, and they serve low-income consumers. So it's kind of like, in both regards, he's talking about the same group, but he's withholding from one and using that same rationale to give back to the companies that are zero rating. So a little confusing, but hey, everyone has an agenda. A whole lot of people on the social web pledged to #delete Uber as backlash to a number of decisions Uber has made related to the immigration ban as well, not banned, the immigration ban and President Donald Trump himself. But kind of wondering how much of an impact that actually had. We had heard that Uber CEO Travis Kalanick had backed down from being an economic advisor to President Trump. He said that his involvement wasn't meant to be interpreted as being supportive of the president's agenda, but of course it was, and that was probably at least part of what Delete Uber, was kind of all about on the back end. As for the app itself, the New York Times says more than 200,000 people ultimately cast the app off of their phones, which, I mean, when you consider that Uber has 40 million monthly active users, that's a small percentage. That was as of last October. They had 40 million monthly active users. But, I mean, 200,000 users is no small amount, I suppose. But in comparison, it really is.
Yeah, I think, because we've been talking a lot this week about boycotts. They don't work, but maybe they do. Or and someone posted on Twitter, maybe this was more of a threat. And I think, I don't know. I mean, there's something to be said about we maybe do want people in Trump's advisory committee, like stepping away from it. I don't know if that's necessarily the right choice, but, Elon Musk is part of it. He went to the meeting that they had today, which was not, as far as I know, no one had access to that meeting, which is unprecedented. I mean, when Obama would hold business council meetings, they would be live streamed. They would be, we would have access to them, but we didn't have access to this business meeting today. And Musk said he's going to continue to be part of it. He wants to change things from inside. He's getting taunted a little bit by that. I saw a headline, which I didn't confirm, that people are canceling their Model 3 orders because...
I'm sure there's at least a small percentage.
Right. And then I'm sure there are people behind them in line that are going to be happy to take them.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this will change anything. If anyone was excited, was like worried about deleting Uber and like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get, to the bar on Friday night? This might make them feel a little bit better, but I don't know. I think a lot of people were just looking for another reason to delete Uber, and this was just the final straw for them.
Well, yeah. And then when you consider, when they look at, so you take a look at web data, Lyft, at least in the web data that was scanned. I had the figure down here exactly, and I don't know where it went. But search traffic, driving search traffic on the web. Delete Uber account as a search term. 12th most used search term that was driving traffic to Uber in light of all of this. Prior to that, in December, it was 177th. So there was a lot of movement of going to the site through the web. You could see the impact there. On the App Store, Lyft, as we talked about earlier in this week, had kind of overtaken Uber as it was all going. It was like, wow, this was really great for Lyft, for a number of reasons. It's all stabilized. Uber's kind of back on top. Same for the Android store, for the Google Play Store. It really didn't have much of an impact there. It kind of seems like people have just kind of maybe fallen back into their old habits. It's like, okay, I made my statement. And actually, maybe that's evidence that people felt like their frustrations were heard with Kalanick kind of pulling out of his cooperation with Trump. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, like you say, maybe it's good to kind of have that constant communication in that regard. I mean, that's up to everyone to decide for themselves, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Recode says big data is creating more options for women in executive leadership roles. According to news coming out of the Global Women in Data Conference, personal and financial performance metrics are helping women overcome bias. Data has the power to amplify the social impact of female leaders and help women keep their positions at the top. Studies say that women are often blamed when things go wrong at a company, even when the data from global publicly traded companies says that companies with more women in the C-suite perform better. So this is the second year of this conference. The first year it's in Stanford. It's also being held at 75 other worldwide locations. The goal is of inspiring and educating data scientists and supporting women in the field. I thought this was fascinating. I mean, it really makes sense because data-driven decisions could really reduce the double standard, which happens in not just tech companies, but so many companies.
Yeah, I mean, the continuing trend seems to be that women in general aren't graduating with computer science degrees as much. That ends up being the thing that people look at, like, well, we need more women, involved with computer science in the back end. So how many women are graduating with computer science degrees? Not as many, and that's been pretty low consistently since the 1980s. But data science is actually a very popular field of study for women. And it turns out like we're in a day and age in technology where big data is more important now than it's ever been. So being involved in data science is actually a great compliment and a great kind of way around this kind of idea that, women aren't involved with the technology because they don't have a computer science degree. It's like the study and the work and the study that they're doing with data science is super integral to everything else that's happening in the world of computer science.
Right. And there are places where women are getting computer science degrees. Harvey Mudd, we've talked about that. The woman in charge of attracting more women to Harvey Mudd, she's speaking at this conference as well. Her name escapes me right now, but Maria Clow. She's the president of Harvey Mudd, and she says that it is possible. Women are interested in computer science, and there are places where they are encouraged and they succeed.
Mm-hmm. And where does that propel them over the course of their career? That's another big extension of that. Google's primary launcher for Android for the past few years has been the Google Now launcher. It's the launcher that you've been using for the past month, Megan. Well, no, you're right.
I'm using
Never mind.
the Pixel
You're using
launcher.
the Pixel launcher. I'm used to the Nexus and the Pixel being the same thing. They're very different. Anyone can install the Google Now launcher, actually, and that's a big difference between the Pixel launcher and the Google Now launcher. Pixel launcher is isolated to the Pixel device. Google Now launcher is basically Google's launcher that anyone can install. And it's the closest to Google's vision that you can get. But then, as you know, the Pixel phones came along with their own launcher to confuse things, obviously, as I got confused at the beginning here. And now Google is telling Google mobile service partners that it's discontinuing the Google Now launcher in the near future. OEMs who've relied on the Google Now launcher for their devices must now integrate the Google Now panel into their own launchers using newly available tools. And I keep setting off your phone, don't I?
I know, and I had it on Do Not Disturb, but I guess it likes to hear your voice and wants to help you.
Yeah, and I'm not. Do Not Disturb might not turn off the mic. It just might be the speakers. But that would make sense, though. Do Not Disturb. Don't do anything when I talk. Don't wake up, Pixel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you? This is super nerdy kind of news.
It is.
But for me, I find it interesting because for the longest time, Nexus devices were highly valued in the eyes of Google, and the Google Now launcher was kind of part of that. I feel like this is ever since the Pixel came along, the Pixel walked into the room and Google kind of got distracted from what it had been focused on for years, these Nexus devices that appeal to a very large, very specific, passionate group of Google and Android fans. And I feel like this is another kind of one of those moments where owners of Nexus devices feel kind of slighted a little bit and like, oh, okay, so you're just kind of given up on us. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Google.
Well, I will tell you that nothing excites me more than which launcher I'm going to use on my Android phone, except for everything.
So you haven't really kind of put on any replacement launchers.
I have not. I've thought about it. I've been many have been recommended to me. A Nova launcher.
Yeah, Nova's really high at the top of the list. Yeah.
People really seem to like that letter that they wrote that was on Android Central or Android Police said search launcher is what people should use. I don't know. There's icons.
There's things.
I can
you
search
push
Google.
things happen.
Right. I mean, I don't again want to sound like I don't care about technology because I do. I do care. I just want to spend my time on other things besides figuring out which launcher I'm going to use. Besides
customizing, which is a big part of the kind of the experience. I think one thing about this is that we saw, and it was kind of strange to see it, but now we understand, I think it was last month or sometime in the last couple of months, that Sony had its own launcher that had Google Now integrated into the launcher. And that's like the first step here. Sony did this with Xperia Home. That's basically the solution here now for OEMs who were relying on Google Now, is that they have the ability to bring Google Now into the launcher that they choose to do. And if they're a partner with Google and doing things right, then they are able to do that. So it's not like it goes away entirely. It will be interesting to see what Google does if you already had the Google Now launcher installed on your phone and they're not supporting it anymore. Like, does that mean that a Pixel launcher opens up for everyone? I'd be surprised about that because it has Pixel in the name. But with Google, you never know. So much of their strategy just seems to be so schizophrenic, depending on the week or the month. It just always changes.
The letter did say they were going to continue to support it.
But they're not going to update it. Right. You know what I mean? So then a year from now, I don't know. I guess a year from now, people with those phones will get new phones. So it won't be as big a deal.
Well, many of you know that the worst possible place for you after a breakup is Facebook. Even if you somehow manage to keep yourself from scrolling through your ex's feed or your ex's new significant other's feed, just watching people enjoying themselves together can be painful. Facebook wants you to know that it cares a tiny little bit. According to a post on the company's Insights blog, Facebook has been snooping, or what they call studying, what people do after a breakup. The company took all the data that we willingly feed it every day, and they used it to study the time between when a person actually breaks up and when they make their breakup official on Facebook, and what we do after that. Lest you think Facebook compiled all this data just because they were curious about your well-being, the post concludes with a special section called What This Means for Marketers, showing how much stuff you can sell people who've broken up, or better yet, gotten divorced. So this is just, you couldn't make this up. They say divorce is a signal of intent to travel. So I guess you might also buy the book Eat, Pray, Love and go on vacation. So sell those kinds of things to people that you see are divorced. They also say empathy sells. And women, after a breakup, are more likely to pick up a new hobby.
Oh, okay. Actually, a general increase in visits to Facebook both before and after changing to single status. So is that like, I'm available, who wants to date me now? Or is that I really need some extra support? My friends and family are here. I watched season 3 of I didn't realize it was season 3, episode 1. I thought it was season 1, but apparently it was season 3, episode 1 of Black Mirror last night.
Excellent episode.
First time watching that show, and it was the episode where it's all about a world that's ruled by an app like Facebook, and everybody's worried about validation and all this kind of stuff. And it got me really, like, when I was reading through this, I was just like, I'm obviously jaded, probably because of that show, because it just kind of reminds me of this need that we have when something incredibly emotional, important, impactful to our life happens, our need to like go to a service, broadcast it to everyone, and then wait to be validated about our emotions. And I know I'm jaded because of that episode. If you haven't seen the episode, it's worth watching because it's totally applicable to this day and age that we live in. But then at the same time, I get it, right? Like we want to feel supported, and if we weren't doing it doing that on Facebook, we'd be talking to people. But maybe we should be talking to people.
And if we were talking to people, then marketers couldn't say they couldn't sell us things.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, no. It's just, and I don't know. I feel like maybe my days on Facebook might be numbered because I just do think that it's getting to be too much. Like how much they've created this version of me. And, right now it's just to sell me things. But what is it going to be for the future? I mean, like, watch that Black Mirror episode. It's not season 1, episode 1. You can watch that, but it's totally gross.
Yeah.
But this one is really good and will just make you think it doesn't give any easy answers to what's going to happen when we're constantly rating each other and what that means. But yeah, I did really like reading this Facebook blog because they're not making any bones about it. They talk about the specific words.
Yeah,
women after a breakup, the words that they use and versus the words that men use. Healing, detox, drowning sorrows, binge watching. So those are the kinds of search terms. Like you're using the term drowning sorrows, and someone is going to use that to sell you something.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about data scientists earlier. I mean, this is like prime example of how data science and technology merges. What is the end result? At Facebook, obviously, they make their money off of advertising, and that's related to this data. So that's how they do it. But I mean, this kind of data can be used in a million different ways. That's just one example. Do you feel okay with it or not? If you don't, maybe it's time to say goodbye to Facebook.
Mm-hmm. After the break, Sam Miskovich is here to talk Horizon Zero Dawn, PS4 updates, and Fire Emblem Heroes, which I even played just so I could talk about it. But first, let's take a minute to thank Epson, the sponsor of this episode. Epson's revolutionary cartridge-free EcoTank line of printers for home and office introduce a new age in printing. The EcoTank ET4550 wireless all-in-one printer doesn't use ink cartridges. Instead, it features an amazing, innovative, refillable ink tank. So no more out of ink frustration. It includes up to 2 years of ink. That's equal to 11,000 black pages or 8,500 color pages. Now, I'm continually surprised by the amount of things I still need to scan and copy and print at home on a daily basis. School reports, home documents, photos. If you run out of ink at 7 in the morning when you have to take your kids to school, all heck breaks loose. That's all I have to say. So it is, you want to have ink. It's great for photos. This printer is. Don't keep all your photos on your laptop. Print them for your walls or your wallet like in the old-fashioned days. You can save up to 80% on ink with low-cost replacement bottles. It's powered by Precision Core printing technology. It has auto two-sided printing and a 30-page auto document feeder, easy wireless printing from tablets and smartphones. All EcoTank printers deliver an unbeatable combination of convenience and value. With Epson's EcoTank line of printers, you'll have the freedom to print without running out of ink. Visit epson.com/EcoTank today to transform the way your home, office, or work group prints. For the best combination of ease and value, turn to the Epson EcoTank printers. That's epson.com/EcoTank. And we thank Epson for their support.
We got your gaming news wrap up with the gaming news wrap up guy. His name is Sam Miskovich from Ars Technica. How's it going, Sam?
Can't talk right now. I'm doing my dailies on Fire Emblem Heroes.
Oh, you too.
I got it too. I got to open it up. I don't like it.
Oh, cool.
Boom.
Great. Segment's done. I gotta go. Peace.
I don't like the voice. It kind of sounds like a little kid's cartoon character.
Oh, la, 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 la. You mean that guy?
Okay, let me turn this off so we can hear you.
I'll tell you what's weird is that I've been playing it for the past 24 hours and I haven't heard a single piece of music or any sort of audio. None of the audio plays on my version of Fire Emblem Heroes. I don't know, but it doesn't matter because it's still fun. Wow, I had that lined up as the last thing we talk about. Why don't we talk about it first? Because we're already talking about it. Nintendo released their new game, Fire Emblem Heroes, February 1st. What do you think?
Well, I dug in for, I would say, about the same 24-hour period that you did. And I am very interested in its take on gacha, Gacha. This is a genre of questy game that you'll find mostly in Japanese smartphone shops that really emphasizes this sort of slot machine random toy pool that requires spending money. They really want you to play a sort of quest in which you get excited about getting more characters and more heroes. And instead of going with Pokemon, which has a zillion characters, they went with Fire Emblem, which has been going since the late 80s as a series that debuted on the Famicom in Japan. It didn't come to the United States until years later. But the game is interesting just in terms of sheer gameplay. You're managing some armies. You've got 4 characters that you drop on a little chess-like field, and you take turns, you first and then the enemy, moving your pieces around and having them fight each other. And the way the gacha system works is that certain battles and quests, as the game gets harder, you're going to want more specialized characters. And to get exact kinds of characters, you can't just enlist them or pick them. You have to go and spend the game's transaction currency, which is orbs in this case, in order to randomly generate a hero. You can pick the color, red, blue, green, or clear, and these have different attributes for your battling and whatnot, but ultimately, the game is going to decide which hero you get with the either game money or real money you spend. You can earn these orbs in the game, but you're also able to buy them for about 66 cents a pop. Each hero costs 5 orbs, give or take. There's discounts if you buy them in bulk in a buy more, save more sort of way. But Nintendo has toyed with this sort of microtransaction stuff on the 3DS, but not so much on mobile phones. We've had Miitomo, which lets you decorate your house, but that's pretty stupid. We have Super Mario Run, which is the total opposite and lets you just pay once and be done with it. This is really Nintendo's first, in my opinion, big push into free-to-play.
Now, I mean, there are good ways to do free to play, and then there are ways where you feel as a gamer, as a player, kind of exploited by it. You've spent enough time with the game and the mechanics of everything to, I'm sure, at least have a sense of where this falls on that spectrum. What do you think?
Yeah, what's interesting is that the game starts out making it very easy for you to feel like you are never going to need to spend money. It gives you some of these orbs for free. It gives you more orbs if you link your My Nintendo account to the game. But what a lot of people have been doing is loading the game, getting their initial allotment of orbs and generating characters and hoping they're good. And if they're not good, deleting the entire game and the save file and trying again. And then waiting until they've finally gotten characters that are higher star ranked or more powerful or more rare. And then at that point saying, cool, I'm assigning my Nintendo credentials and going forward. But I managed to, on my second try, I wiped them once and tried again, get a pretty decent cast. I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this all day. So in that sense, you can start off not having to pay. You've got the characters you need, but it starts nagging you a little bit about stamina, which is a way of saying after you play so much, you need to either wait or pay up. You can get little items that let you reduce this timer, but this is a lot like Farmville and a lot of those sort of games. And there have been a lot of mobile games that do that. I hate that crap.
Yeah, I do too. That's
and I really wish Nintendo would have just said, you know what, you could pay us $15 and we'll just let that little bit of stress go, and you'll still, we'll still nickel and dime you in other ways. But the other part is that I think later in the game, as stuff gets harder, you're going to need more specialized characters and more specialized things and pay up for extra boosts. It's hard to tell only after 24 hours, but I can see on the horizon where the money tree grows for Nintendo in this sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're really just sort of testing the waters here? Because Super Mario Run, you pay $10, you're done. Versus the, pay to, the microtransactions, as you say. Do you think they're just kind of seeing what's going to work, or do they really think that Super Mario Run was better fitted to the pay once and be done, and it's Super Fire Emblem Heroes? Sorry,
Blah, 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 blah.
Fire Emblem Heroes is more suited to the microtransactions.
Clearly a giant fan of the series over here. No, I think what's interesting is Nintendo has essentially done the total opposite side for its two first big smartphone games, in terms of you've got your pay the flat fee and you've got your pay a whole bunch here and there, and they're going to see what the market reacts to, and I imagine go forward that way. I think it's kind of smart on their part to go, let's try both, see what gets the hook, and then do the same thing with the future games. They have more projects coming. Animal Crossing is the next one, which is a little town building game, super cute, and I'm going to assume that one's going to be more transactiony, since you buy shirts and decorations and all that sort of stuff. So, but now they'll have the bottom line. They'll have to show the stuff to stockholders, and I imagine the stock prices will respond better to this than to Super Mario Run's quick decline in the charts.
Yeah, because for better or for worse, if you love it or you hate this whole in-app transaction microtransaction thing, it makes money. People they pay a lot for these things. That's why game developers continue to do it. So I'm sure that'll work for Nintendo as well. Okay, so moving on, we've got the PS4. Apparently, they've announced some important updates that are coming up here pretty soon. Some new features. First, support for external drives. Why is that a big deal?
So if you run out of space on the hard drive on your PlayStation 4, that's it. You have to pop the thing out and get a whole new bigger hard drive and stick that in and swap the data between them if you are installing games. These have shipped with half a terabyte drives, which seems like a lot of space, but because you have to run everything off of the hard drive as opposed to off of the disk, it's installing everything. That's gig after gig after gig. If you were just been enjoying games for a little while, especially the downloadable stuff that comes from PlayStation Plus, that'll fill up really fast. Xbox One, on the other hand, allowed you on day one to plug in your own hard drive via USB and add more capacity that way. Just simple, go to the store and get one of those $40, $60 little guys, and boom, you've got yourself another half terabyte or whatever you want. For whatever reason, perhaps because of worries of piracy or worries about maybe the whole account brigading that happened on PlayStation 3, that was a whole snafu for them. Whatever the case was, they blocked this, and now they're finally saying, cool, you're going to be able to plug in your own hard drive, and it just saves money. It's just a good consumer move. I don't think it's going to change the hacking issues of the system, because you have to play so many of the games online anyway. So thank you, Sony. Should have done it sooner, but better late than never.
And there's another feature that you guys wrote about at ours. It's clues that there are going to be speed improvements for older games because the PS4 Pro is so awesome.
This caught us all by surprise. Sony has said for quite some time that if the PlayStation 4 Pro will add boosts to new games, but not to old ones. They don't want to break the compatibility. You should be able to buy the PlayStation 4 Pro and be able to play all of the old games. Well, apparently somebody said, wait a second, let's just make this an optional toggle. So now there's going to be, inside of this new firmware coming, the same one with the hard drive stuff, there will be a little switch you can toggle for boost mode, which is just going to unlock all of the GPU bonus that is just sitting there inside the PlayStation 4 Pro. Mark Cerny from Sony described the chip inside of the PS4 Pro as like a butterfly, and that the new stuff is like an additional identical wing. And so for older games, they just turn that half off. So they're going to turn it back on. And so already we're seeing people in the wild who've gotten beta access to this patch. There's a beta version of already in the wild, and they're testing games out on it. The ones that kind of struggle and lag and have choppy rates and things like that on the original PlayStation 4. And with this boost mode on the newer PlayStation 4 Pro, they are getting closer to that locked kind of silky frame rate that video game fans really want, especially in these high action games. Bloodborne is, in my opinion, the biggest of these. People are testing it out on it. Bloodborne being part of the Dark Souls family of incredibly tough sword and magic kind of gaming. It's not a game you want to play in which the screen starts lagging and then all of a sudden you died because you weren't able to react in time. That's getting improvements. That's That's reason enough for me. Being able to play Bloodborne and have it not chug and be terrible is a super exciting prospect. So if you did already pay the extra for a PS4 Pro, you are about to possibly get a serious boost. The question is, how will it affect all of the games? We really don't know. There are a lot of games that were never designed with any additional hardware in mind. They may not change at all whatsoever. It's super early news, but it's coming. There will be a lot of testing, and I'm very excited to go back through my older, choppier games and, fingers crossed.
Play them again. Because, you've got all sorts of spare time. No new games to play.
Oh, man.
Finally, you teased last week that you might be spending some quality time with Horizon Zero Dawn. The game does look awesome, by the way, reading through what you have on ours. What can you tell us about your 4-hour session?
I did not know what to expect from this video game. Horizon Zero Dawn was announced in middle of 2015 as part of one of Sony's E3 events. They had beautiful sizzle reel of a braid-haired woman running through a forest, and then all of a sudden robot deer and robot dinosaurs appear and look giant and shiny and luminous. And it kind of looked like a Sony version of grown-up Zelda. But they didn't show the game off for, over a year, except for one little demo I went to that was really weak. So I didn't know what to expect. So they finally invited me to LA, sat me down with the game and said, go to town, sit down for 4 hours. It's, just like your own living room, only with the most expensive television I'd ever seen in my life. And I got to play it for a while, and I came to find that this is in my opinion, new kind of open world adventure. There's a lot of stuff that's familiar. You're running around doing quests, kind of fetch quests, where people are like, go kill this thing, run over there. But the real key, and the reason I'm excited about it, is because it's all about the combat. These robotic creatures run around. I'm not quite sure why you're fighting them. There was some of the plot that was skipped. I personally felt kind of bad killing some of these things. But when they come out, they don't come running at you like bad guys in an army game. These have what I call herd mentality. They have different places in that biological order in terms of alphas and betas, in terms of the leaders of the pack and the followers and wimps. Certain animals will just run away. Other animals will crowd together and protect each other. Some will do sort of where the leader will come at you from the front, and then the wimpier ones will come at you from the side. And as a result, you don't play as much of as a soldier as you do a trapper and hunter. You have lots of interesting mechanical traps you can place down. You're expected to run through all of your different weapons, including a bow and arrow and electrical traps. There's one where you could tie one of the animal's legs up in order to just stop it while you're dealing with everything else. And you can even use your little magical spear that you use to hijack these creatures and take them over, either to have them fight on your half or to turn them into your personal horse that you can ride around. I was so smitten. It's a beautiful game. There was a lot to do, and I really felt excited that they were treating the idea of fighting something in the wild like you're actually fighting something in the wild. It's kind of like Far Cry 3 if Far Cry 3 was actually amazing as opposed to just pretty good. Yeah, really, really surprised. And the plot and dialogue that I encountered, not a ton of it, was I told other friends that I didn't feel embarrassed when I was telling people about this game. I would sit down, someone who's not into games, put this on, and it's not the most amazing script ever, but it felt mature enough, had some really interesting looks about cultural clashes and like tribalism and how that might reflect our own real world based on this alternate Earth with robots running around. So all in all, so far so good, but only 4 hours. So we're going to find out at the end of February how it really is. That's when the game comes out. But so far, I'm a lot more excited than I was.
Excellent. Yeah, it looks fantastic. End of February for that. Cool
Strong
stuff.
Female leads in video games. Also, please. It's so easy, and she's so awesome. Her name's Alloy, and she's a butt kicker. Sorry.
And she's wearing some more clothes than they were in Fire Emblem Heroes.
Yeah. It's almost like she's trying to protect herself from nature and weather and things.
The way it should be. Awesome. Sam Miskovich, Ars Technica, thanks as always for coming on. And I don't know what you're going to be playing all weekend. Probably Fire Emblem Heroes.
I'm going to be banging on my internet connection so that the video watchers will get a better bit of lag right here. I think you can hear me live, but we're having this like time warp thing going on.
Yeah.
It's
So
okay. It's like a kung fu movie. It's okay.
All you podcasters have the edge this time. But anyway.
Well, I would also, I know you moved to a new spot, and I miss seeing your board games behind you. So
there's a lot of space there. That's the board game zone. I'm not even kidding. I was thinking about this before you called. Like, which board games am I going to put up there?
We'll look forward to that next week. Thanks again, Sam. We'll talk to you soon.
Marcus in Penzance, England, sent us a little bit of feedback via video. Let's take a listen and a look at that.
Hi, Jason and Megan on Tech News Today. You mentioned the glasses that sort of filled up with water to change focus, and I thought it was a very interesting concept for virtual reality, because that's the one thing when you focus on things which are close to you and focus on things which are further away, those lenses that could change would maybe stop people feeling sick, and I thought that'd be really cool. I'm sure other people have thought of this as well, but I just wondered if you could pass that on to Leo, and very interested to hear your commentary of the news every day. I listen to it avidly. I'm here in England, Penzance, and thanks for all that you do. Bye.
You bet. I had actually considered that too. Like if you, I mean, we're already putting lenses onto our eyes to do VR in the version of VR that we have right now, barring any future kind of advancements. So if there's a way to add something into the lens, like the way it is right now, it's a lens and it's a different image in each eye, so that simulates the three-dimensional field, but there's still not that depth, that kind of fact that like when I look at, you know, the curtain behind the camera right here, everything else kind of goes a little blurry in my peripheral vision, and that becomes a little more focused. Like getting some of that interplay in VR would just make it so much more immersive. I think it's a perfect fit. You're also seeing, or at least hearing a little bit about kind of Litro style technology, the kind of light field technology. And I have a feeling we'll probably see a little bit of that integrated into VR in the near future as well. And that would allow you to do similar things where you can kind of shift your focus, or even in some cases, based on video that's recorded, look around objects because it's light field recorded. And that's one of the benefits of that. That would be insane in VR. That would add a great dimension to it. Coming up, are you watching the Super Bowl? Yeah, me neither. We're going to talk a little bit about alternatives for you. But first, let's take a minute to thank Grasshopper. They are the sponsor of this episode. Grasshopper is a virtual phone system that's designed for entrepreneurs. And Grasshopper actually works just like a traditional phone system, but it requires no hardware purchase. You already have that hardware. You probably bought it a long time ago. It's a smartphone that's in your pocket. With their iOS and Android app, callers can actually reach you wherever you are on your mobile phone. Grasshopper allows you to keep your existing number so that you can maintain your brand. And then when you make a call, your client is going to see your Grasshopper caller ID instead of your personal phone number, even though you're calling on your own phone. So you can simply select a toll-free or a local number. You can record a custom greeting, add multiple extensions for your business. Toll-free numbers, of course, are awesome for marketing. It makes your business kind of sound more professional, and you're calling from a toll-free number when you're using Grasshopper, if you set it up that way from the phone that's already in your pocket. Set up department and employee extensions with custom call forwarding to any phone in the world. You can also get voicemails emailed to you as audio attachments. You can send and receive SMS and text messages from your business number as well. Join the over 250,000 Grasshopper customers today. Plans start at just $12 per month. You have a full 30-day money-back guarantee. Turn your smartphone into a business line with Grasshopper. To save $50 on your order, go to trygrasshopper.com/twit. That's trygrasshopper.com/twit. And we thank Grasshopper for their support. TNT's fan of the day is Gary from the Quinault Rainforest, who sent us this time-lapse video. You can play it. I don't think there's any audio on it. He says, 2 of my favorite things, roasting coffee and watching TNT. He says, another beautiful day in the Quinault Rainforest. Quinault, by the way, is in Washington. There you go. Oh. There's a rainforest in Washington.
I think that we've heard from him before. So
excellent.
Or someone else from that same rainforest, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
Very
Tech
popular.
News Today is really popular in the rainforest.
Big in Quinault.
Yeah. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup. Post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we're going to find it.
I know what we'll be doing this weekend, watching the superb owl.
Oh, you mean the Super Bowl? That was a spelling error, right?
Oh, the superb owl. Our friend Mike Murphy at Quartz has a complete guide for everyone not watching the Super Bowl this weekend. I thought it was a typo too, but no. You can watch the superb owl. And by the superb owl, he means any owls. There's the great horned owl cam from Cornell's Ornithology Lab, or just look at pictures of owls online.
Okay.
If you want to watch the Super Bowl online, you can do so with the Fox Sports Go app, but who cares?
Yeah. And, I said earlier that I'm not going to watch. I'll probably end up watching it. Probably won't watch the whole thing. I'll tune into it, though, and see. Or I might tune into Puppy Bowl, because that's a thing. Although this year, and maybe they've been doing this for a while, they're only playing reruns of Puppy Bowl. They're not doing like a new Puppy Bowl.
There were no new puppies this year or something?
I don't know. Or maybe they just figured like, gosh, every year we put puppies in a thing and they do cute things. Like it's always the same thing, them doing cute things. So let's just replay it.
Like,
cut down on
all the
costs.
things, they're going to take away our puppies too. That's what's next.
Not live puppies. The puppies are still alive. They're just going to play previously recorded puppies instead of live streamed puppies right now. See, this is how you spend Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty adorable.
Or you can watch Mr. Robot or Westworld or any of the other good things on television.
Okay. Apparently we have a lot to watch on Sunday.
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror.
Not the
Although I'm
pilot,
slightly
though.
afraid of Black Mirror.
Don't watch the pilot.
I thought I was, and then everyone was like, that first episode is so gross. I was like, what are you talking about? It was
you
about
had to
like a
ask me,
Facebook
and I had to break
network.
it to you.
Yeah. So I might actually stay away from episode 1. But I'm really happy because the reason I watched it, I had been meaning to, but the reason I actually finally got around to it is because we've had a couple of emails that have come in over the past couple of weeks from fans of the show saying, wow, this really reminds me of that episode from Black Mirror. I was like, okay, I got to check that out. Really happy I did. It's really good.
Yeah, we are the Black Mirror of tech news.
Hey, save that for tomorrow or Monday.
Yeah, I will.
Save that for Monday. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, midnight UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show by emailing us at tnt@twit.tv. You can leave us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW and find us on Twitter at TechNewsTodayTV.
And it is time for our yearly Twit survey. We want to hear from you so we can serve you better. Go to twit.tv/survey and be heard. It only takes a few minutes, I promise. You can also find all the ways to subscribe to our show at twit.tv/TNT. And if you want to see us in person, we want to see you in person. We love to have live audiences. Email tickets@twit.tv. And if you want to tweet at me about what you'll be watching on Sunday, please do so. I am at Megan Maroney.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, Kara, back in the hot seat. Good to have you back there.
Redemption.
Didn't really make you giggle today, but whatever. We'll work on it.
I liked when you messed up.
Okay, excellent. I'll take that. Alex for helping out in the studio, and Colleen for being our audience for today. Kevin for editing the show, and thanks to you for talking tech with us. We'll see y'all on Monday. Have a good weekend. Bye.